This is John Walton, and you're listening to the Power Play Point podcast with the Blue Liner on point and Anna Knox. Here's Wilson, and on the right side, he
Rebound loose, wild scramble in front, score! Ovechkin with a buzzer beater! It'll count!
And a hat trick tonight, number 21,
Spectacular! Braden Holtby!
Hello and welcome once again to the Power Play Point podcast. This is your host, the Blue Liner on Point, and it's I'm looking out my window. It's a nice sunny evening here in Glen Burnie, Maryland. Sun's still out. We're in midwinter, and it's actually a little warm. Yeah, it's probably the only place it's going to be warm. Boy. Tough being a Caps fan, I'll tell you that. And especially if you're watching the team and you made a 100+ mile journey to watch the team, and yeah, it's a lot of people out there know what I'm talking about. But yeah, we're hanging in there. We're in for another episode. So with me, as always, is my partner in crime, my broadcast partner, the one and only mermaid, live herself from Centerville, Virginia. It is Anna Knox.
Hey, happy Sunday, birthday boy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I wish Caps would have brought home the win for a nice birthday present, but wasn't to be. But I sat around for the whole game, glutton for punishment that I was, and I mean, it is what it is, I guess, as you can say.
But he scored.
Yeah, and that's and as soon as I saw that, I thought, oh my God, Anna's going to kick herself in the morning when she finds out.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I woke up, middle of the night, was like, all right, I'm going to check to see if they rallied, which I didn't think they did. But then I saw that Tommy scored, was like, oh, a little happy dance, and I went back to sleep. So yeah, but you know what? That just, that's. I started to think about it. It's great news, and then not great news. I'm kind of like 50-50 on it. So I know we'll talk about that when we get into it a little bit more. So
we'll talk about that and quite a lot of other things that happened with the team this week. Okay, so before we go any further, of course, it is still, of course, Black History Month, and we are celebrating the participation and contributions of not only, of course, Black and African American players and builders of the game, especially with the Washington Capitals, but of course, this being, we being who we are, fans of the team as well. And this week we have a great one, newcomer to the show, Mr. Dwain Thomas. Want to bring him on now. Dwain, how you doing this evening?
I'm fine. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Felton, Delaware.
all right.
Delaware. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure where Felton is, but a good friend of mine lives out in the first state, Doug Lucerarian. So, yeah, good.
Felton is, I'll give you an idea. It's, where Dover is? Dover, Delaware?
Yep.
Well, it's 15 miles south of Dover, Delaware.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. Good trip past the bridge. So yeah. Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. So Dwain, as I understand it, you are actually a friend of one of the show's great friends, Mr. Lorenzo Robinson. How did you and he hook up?
Well, we kind of went to high school together.
Oh,
well, so nice.
I take that back. I graduated way before he did, but we knew each other from different friends. We all had the same friends in high school. They were with him, but one of his friends went to the same church that I went to. So, and one day I just happened to see him at it was at the Kent Narrows in over on Eastern Shore, and that's where I saw all them guys hanging out. So I just saw him and the friend, people that I knew and he knew. And I was like, went on over and started talking to him. And he just welcomed me in. So, and that's how Lorenzo and I got to know. But he already knew me before then.
Awesome. Nice. Yeah. You know what? That doesn't surprise me because Lorenzo has what I like to call the Hard Rock Cafe mentality: love all, serve all, and yeah, he's just like that.
Smile.
And that, yeah, just very, very welcoming, very inviting. So I'm not surprised that's the story of you both. So since this is your first time on our podcast, of course, we have to ask, how exactly was it that you came to be a Caps fan?
Well, I was a Caps fan. I wasn't like I liked hockey when I was little, me and my twin brother. But we never watched that much on TV. We played the game we had hockey games when we were growing up. We always played. And in fact, we had teams and stuff. My favorite team at the time was, before the hockey team, I think it was the Blackhawks.
Mm-hmm.
So my brother and I, and me and a couple other friends of ours, when we were growing up, we used to have a little league.
Oh, nice.
A little hockey league. And we used to go to each other's house and play each other away and home. So we even kept a little league going on. We kept playoffs, we kept standings, and then we had Stanley Cup.
Nice. I love it. Little personal rivalry and organization there too. I love it.
I was and then I got into it more so when I was in college. I started watching them a little bit more, and I was like, okay. So I could go with this team when they finally got a team. And then, by the way, I'm 63. Just to let y'all know.
Well, I mean, you didn't have to reveal, but if you're comfortable with that,
I'm fine with it.
No problems.
It's nothing but a number.
Exactly.
That's
Consider
true.
the alternative. So you know what? I'm all for embracing it and loving it, and good for you.
Gil, you and I have a little bit in common. We had the same our birthdays are on the same month.
Awesome. When's your birthday?
Mine was last Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. But anyway, so we got into it, and then I hadn't gone to my first, I went to my first Caps game, believe it or not, when I moved to Dover, after I married my wife, because my son, his the guy that he lived with, he was living out of an apartment, and he was a Phillies fan, and he just happened to be playing the Caps, and he asked me if I wanted to go a game with him. So all three of us went to a game, and it was at Philly, and the Caps beat him. That was last year. So
your first Caps game was actually a road game.
Yeah. And
like
then
the initiation going to Philly too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was the only Cap fan, and all four of us. It was my son, his the guy that he lived with, his girlfriend, and her dad. I was like, I'm stuck between these Phillies fans. I was fine with it, and it was so funny because the game was off. The Caps made it kind of close, but they won. And but it was so funny. The girlfriend Keith's girlfriend kept going, "Oh, they'll blow the lead. They'll blow it," and showing up with it.
That's awesome.
It was kind of funny. I had a good time. That was my first Caps game, and then I went to the first game. My son David and I, we decided to go to a game. Not like last year. We went last year. We went to our first game, and we got tickets, and we went up to watch the Caps play. I think they played the Kraken when Kraken came into the league last year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow!
And it's ironic. David's not a hockey fan, but this last Christmas before, he said, "Pop, guess what?" I said, "What?" He said, "I think I'm a hockey fan." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, okay. I said, "All right." I said,
nice.
"Which one?" I said, "Where you going, Philly or Washington?" He said, "Nope, neither one." I said, "Why?" I said, "Why not?" He goes, "I'm not doing that bandwagon thing. I'm going with the Kraken." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "I respect that." I said, "I respect it."
All right, yeah, get on the ground floor with a new team.
Yeah. He's like, "Okay." I said, "I respect that." I said, so I went out and got him a jersey.
Oh,
awesome!
That's awesome.
And we went to the game. He wore his jersey. I wore my jersey, and then he and I went. That was the first game I went to. Second game I went to. That was like a couple of months later, and then Lorenzo and I were talking one day, and he said, "Dwain, I want to take you to a game." I'm going, "All right." So I went to my first game with Lorenzo, but my seats were a lot better than they were when David and I went.
I can imagine because Lorenzo. One thing about Lorenzo, he's got the hookup. He knows. Yeah. He knows all the good stuff about that arena. He'll hook you up. He knows how to get to the good spots.
It was me, him, and John, the guy he always comes with sometimes. Mm-hmm. Fishback. And so we got there, and I'm thinking we're going to be up in like this middle section or something like that. But he took us down where I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, we were like 2 rows from the glass. I was like, He said, yeah. He said, this is all section right here. I was like, okay.
Yeah. I've seen his pictures, and I am in awe, and just it's amazing. It's amazing, and I love the fact that he is a faithful fan and goes and he takes pictures. He shares them with everybody, and he's he just sends his pictures, and it's great because I had an opportunity, belated. It was not belated, but it was a Christmas present. And sat with my husband last month against the Pens in section 108. Mm-hmm. But we were, still like probably 10 rows back from where Lorenzo sits. But still, I was in awe. Like there's something about being up close against the glass and just being that close to the players that makes you just that much more excited to be there live.
And, the VIP section kind of helps a little bit too.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I was like, okay. Because he told me, I said, we go downstairs. I said, he said, "Dwayne, you going to go to something to eat between intermission?" I said, yeah, I got down there. I said, I'm thinking I had to eat it all down there. He said, no, you can take it back upstairs with you. I was like, oh, I can't. So we get upstairs. I was like, oh, I can get used to this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was like, yeah, if you're going to be, I've gotten to the age where I told my husband, I'm like, listen, these tickets this once in a while are amazing. I can't do anything in between. I feel spoiled. It's like once you go first class, like you're not going back. Once you have seats in the hundreds or any kind of, complimentary drink and food. Oh, hell yeah. It's a very good way to watch the game.
Yeah. I'm not saying that, and it's funny because when I saw the first game with my son David, and I compared our stadium with the Philly stadium, I said, and David said it to me. He said, "Man, I enjoyed coming here." I was like, "You did?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "I like coming here, and I did Philly." I was like, "Why?" He said, "I said to me, it just seemed like it was much brighter." I don't know if you guys ever been to up to the Philly, where the Phillies play. It seems a little bit darker. It's just it seemed a little bit darker. But I mean, the ice, because we were a little bit further away from the ice, but a lot further away from the ice. But still, it just seemed like a dark. But when I went to the Capital One Arena, I was like, whoa, it's like light in here. I said to David, and I said to him, does it seem brighter in here to you? He said, yeah, it does seem brighter in here. He said, I really enjoyed this place, man.
That's awesome.
Well, we had a good time. And that's how I kind of got. Now I've really, really gotten into my hockey since the football season's over with now. So I've been doing double duty sometimes.
All right,
I can relate.
Great to hear. Yeah, well, none of the local teams, Niners included, since Anna's from that area, distinguished. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Be forewarned if
we'll forgive her.
You got a rivalry there.
We'll just forgive her. We'll pray for her. No, I'm just kidding, Anna.
That's all good.
But that's awesome to hear, and I'm glad to hear that. Was your grandson that's the Kraken fan?
My son David. It's my son David.
Your son David. Okay,
he's about 35.
Okay. Great, nice fact about the Kraken, and I hope to have this gentleman on someday. It's a kind of a long shot because he's a big name now. But great fun fact about the Kraken, given that it's Black History Month. They have the first and only African American radio announcer, Everett Fitzhugh. He does the radio play-by-play for the Kraken. And one of his first jobs on the broadcast was a preseason game with the Caps. And it was about, I want to say 7 or 8 years ago. He actually called a preseason play-by-play game for the Caps. So great to see that he made it. He seems like he seems like a great guy. I love his voice. I love the way he calls his game. So hopefully, even though he's not Caps, one of these times I'd love to have him on just to talk about, because I love broadcasters. And I want to hear his story about how he got started and his career and all that. So that's way down the road.
Yeah.
All right. So okay. So we're going to talk a little bit more. You and I, Dwayne and Anna, of course, about your a little more in depth about what it's like to be a Black or African American hockey fan in general. After we get done recapping this week, man, this is going to be painful, but it's got to be done. We usually focus on one game. The only game where the Caps had any signs of life was the first game on Tuesday, the first game against Carolina. So we're going to touch on that a little bit more. But yeah, it was not a good week, as you can imagine. Actually, yeah, let's skip over that. Go right to the Florida game, which was on Thursday, 6-3 loss. Boy, Caps didn't play too badly, I thought, in the first period. Of course, they gave up the first goal. But it took them some time to get into it. But I didn't think their first period was really bad. Second period, which has been their good period all year, is when they fell apart. Stahl and White made it 3-0 for the Florida, and then they finally got into the game when Strome scored at 15:51. But the game was pretty much out of reach after that, and then the Caps kind of woke up in the third period with a couple of power play goals from Backstrom and Kuznetsov. So we're thinking, all right, well, maybe they got some life. And then, they emptied the net, and it was downhill again. And that's pretty much been the season for the Caps. They make us think that we're, watching a good team, and then it all falls apart again. It just, it's just hard to watch, really, really hard to watch. But the first period was okay. The second period was really bad, and it was like the last 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So of this game. So I guess all in all, not too bad. But if they had just gotten their stuff together in the second, it might have been a different outcome. But I mean, not too bad, I guess. They're 2 for 5 on the power play, so there's that. They were into the game hits wise, but it's just another game where they fell behind. They just couldn't get back into it, and that was the story of that game, and of course the Stadium Series game. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot of stories from. Well, let me just sound off here as to our known listeners who were there. Tracy Tobin, Ron Deal, but that's Bernie's brother. Of course, Lorenzo we mentioned a few times already. He was there. Tyrone Waller. He had. I need to post that picture, but he probably had the best picture of the night. He had. If that was his seat, he was kind of walking around, kind of checking things out. So I hope that was his seat, but he had a picture of him in the foreground and the whole rink in the background. It was an awesome view. If I find it, I'll post it to the Facebook page. But that was a fantastic view of the whole arena, and he had a great sight line. And he's another guy. He's a lot like Lorenzo, except when he goes to the road arena, he likes to go to the road arenas. Of course, we had Tyrone on last year for a Black History Month, but he likes to travel to road games, check out the other teams' arenas, and he seems to be pretty good at finding the spots there as far as good seats and places to eat in and around the area. And so he went to Nashville for one trip, Minnesota for another. Like to have him on again real soon, tell us what it was like for this outing. But yeah, he was there, and who else was there? Jake Michael, who lives in the area, he was there as well. I think Diane Doyle was there also
Nice.
for that game. And I'm thinking I'm missing at least one or two more. Mike Livingston was there also, and they all brought some stories back. And it was a couple of horror stories about the parking situation, which I guess is kind of to be expected. But all in all, it seemed to have a pretty good time as far as that goes. And Anna, I'm pretty sure your friend Rochelle was there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I can't find her on Facebook anymore, but I found her on Twitter, and she posted pictures of the different venues in and around the Carter Finley Stadium. So
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I haven't
she was
talked to her in a
definitely there.
while, so I wouldn't doubt that she was there for sure. That's I was excited for everyone that went. I will have to say that it looked like they put on a really fantastic show and fireworks and music and everything else. So I just wish it was not a terrible game on our end, but
yeah, no, I didn't
whatever.
even. For the most part, I didn't even mind the TV coverage. I love the start of it when they did the speech by Jimmy Valvano. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. I hope I'm not offending too many people here, but could have done without the first intermission entertainment from whatever that country band was. Sorry, not a fan. Yeah,
I didn't say.
not my
And
jam. Yeah, you didn't miss much.
I will. I know I'm probably going to get hated for this, but not really loving the version of the Star Spangled Banner. But whatever.
I think there was a little nerves there. I think the young lady from the Army tried her heart out. She sang her heart out. I will give her credit for that. I think it's a little bit of nerves, but she held it together. I think. But yeah, I think some nerves showed, but she held it together.
I'm like you a little bit, Anna. I was like, oh, that was she could have done better.
Yeah, I think that's what I mean, and I mean, God, I can't sing, and I'm well aware of that, and I would imagine that the nerves are through the roof. But I don't know, for some reason, I think when she first started, I was like,
yeah, I was hoping that it would get better, but it didn't. And it's so funny because my wife was in another room, and I had a TV on in the other room, and our rooms are not that far apart, and she kept going, "Who is that?" And then she eventually said, "She's terrible. Who is that?" I was like, I didn't want to say nothing.
I know. Like I don't want to insult, but I've heard better.
Yeah,
let's just say I've heard better. She wasn't terrible. I've just heard better.
Yeah, that's the way that's what I would put it too.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that, and
I think she might agree on it herself.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
she'll probably look at the tape and go, "Ooh, I said rotten."
Yeah, what was I thinking?
Yeah. But it was just an honor just to get there. I mean, to do something like that, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, getting up in front of 60,000 plus or whatever it was,
it was about
not an easy thing to do.
No, I'd have been like, no thanks.
No. In front of 6 people, I'm like, nope. So no, I know it nerves and whatever else, and she got through it, and good for her. But it's one of those, we have that Bob McDonald and everything that's always like
Caleb Green,
and it's just like it's just fantastic. And this one, I was like, oof.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe I felt more sorry for the performance than anything, but other than that,
I think that's what I did. I felt bad for it too.
Yeah, but no, I didn't see the intermission stuff. I think I was just getting annoyed.
I didn't
by that time.
You sound like me, Anna. That's how I was getting. I kept turning it off. I kept flicking to something else because I'm going, man. Every time I look, my phone would go off. I'm going, oh. Yeah. I said, because it would go up. I got the ESPN alert. And I'm going, I looked at my phone. I said, it better be us. Looked at it. I said, God. No. I was like, another one? And then I turned back to the TV and we haven't scored yet. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I said, and then I missed the one that when Wilson scored. When I didn't even know who scored until you said something.
Yeah, I went to sleep because I told Gil last night and our friend Robbie, who's on Sports on the Hill, I was like, hey, going to bed because I can't bear the fact that it was 4-0. It was sloppy. It was like they just, Carolina came out. I don't know, Gil, is it okay to talk about the game or did you want to go back to
No, it's fine to talk about the game. Yeah, I
just felt like, like all the pomp and circumstance was there and that's great. And that's what the home team should be feeling and everything. But I felt like from puck drop, Carolina really just came out having fun, but also showing
they were enjoying the moment.
They were enjoying the moment, but they also were. But they looked at it still like a hockey game. Like they knew that like it still mattered. Yeah. And our team came out like, hey, we've got these varsity jackets on and aren't we cool? And that it ended there. It's like we did not look like we were wanting, like, ready to play. We were not interested, and so much sloppy playing last night and just really cringeworthy. And it's like, I know Carolina is a great team, but so are the Caps when they have their shit together, but we just did not last night, and it was kind of embarrassing.
I have a question for you two.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
When Backstrom, Wilson, and who else was out early in the season? Backstrom was all those people that were out early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And we went on that 7 to 10 game winning streak.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have them. All we had was Oshie.
Right.
I mean, all we had was Ovi.
Yeah.
And Ovi was scoring, and the Goldies were playing better, and they were playing better on defense. And then when everybody kept saying, when we get Backstrom back, when we get Oshie back, when we get Wilson back, blah, 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 they'll get better.
Right.
I seem like, and this, tell me if I'm wrong, just before the holidays, just before the Christmas holiday, around the Christmas holidays, I would say around Thanksgiving time, a little bit after Thanksgiving, that's about the time they came back. Even Oshie came back, and I think Wilson came back. Correct me if I'm wrong. And around that time, they weren't doing well. I mean, they after a while, they were like, I don't know if it was because of the combination of people that Laviolette had to change out or whatever and put on the shelf for a while and let those guys get their feet wet. But ever since then, it's just been like, nope.
Disconnect.
Yes, it's been like a whole disconnect. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Well, okay, so Oshie was in and out of the lineup from the beginning of the season. He'd missed like 10 games at one point, and then another 7 because he got hurt again. And then it was like, so around Thanksgiving, I think he was back more permanently. I think he finally gotten back. Wilson didn't come back until
he came back before the Christmas holidays.
Just before, right around the Christmas break.
Mm-hmm.
And got into a game. Then he got hurt again, but he was back along with Backstrom. Actually, I think they both came back in a little after the Christmas break.
Right, the same night.
Yeah, the same night, and when they played the Blue Jackets in that 1-0 game, and Dwain, you're not wrong. Something happened. Something happened when the both of them came back for that game, and
they haven't been right since.
Right. And look, I am not going to say that it's because they came back.
No,
I think it's because the team didn't have a plan for them coming back. They didn't know. I don't think they knew how to put them back in the lineup without messing up the chemistry that they already had.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what started everything, but it's only gotten worse. I mean, there's been problems since then. Now, it was right around is a little bit before that Carlson got hurt, and I think that's another thing that kind of thrown
a bigger blow.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, exactly. I think that kind of threw that made things a lot worse than they already were.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of the beginning of the end as far as that goes. Not that I'm totally giving up, but
no, I'm not giving up either. But
it might be time to start thinking about different directions. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. But no, you're not wrong, Dwain. You're not wrong.
No, not at all.
Thinking that.
Okay, I'm going. Maybe I'm just the only one seeing this, but it's just a whole different vibe when they came back. And I agree with you, Gil. They probably didn't have a plan on how to get those guys back in. They just wanted to get them back in. That's what it felt like. I'm like, no, just maybe.
Well, I think that was the biggest issue was like all of a sudden we had these younger players coming up who were
playing well,
who were doing well, who were starting to show like like they've got what it takes, and then you're like, but Wilson, but Backstrom, but all the things that they have to offer, and all their records and experience, and blah blah blah. But what it really comes down to was we were also getting them back not at 100%, and and quite older than these guys who were playing at that moment. So I think that's where the big thing is Gil and I have said from I don't know, I will say from at least 3 or 4 years ago, that it's really hard to look at the Capitals as the team that won the Stanley Cup in 2018 and expect them to be the same in regards to skill and stamina and everything else when you're looking at them at 2020, 2021, 2022. It's like there are things that you have to consider. Age.
Well, they're the oldest team in the league.
Yeah, exactly. And so, when you're looking at us from 2018 and saying like how fantastic we were, and you want to have that exact team again next year, it's like, well, they're getting a year older, and there's things that happen, and there's injuries that are going to, take longer to heal. And I just don't think, I think that everybody kind of got wrapped up in just like, let's just keep it 2018 because they were so great, we could do no wrong. And it's like, well, we can. And we're in this situation now where there are some players that I really wish we would see more often. And then of course we've had so many injuries, and it's not that's not an excuse, but
I think I agree with everything you said, Anna. And I think to add to that too is that not only that, we're the oldest team in the league. And we have hardly no speed. The only one we got speed is Strome.
Yep.
What's
Sherry.
his name? Sherry.
Yep.
And then there's another one on defense. He plays defense. I'm 42.
Faravari.
Yep. That's about it. And then that's where we're going to get beat every time.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and to that point, so we let's go ahead and jump back to the first game against Carolina. That was the best game they played all week, and the
best game they played all week was Boston.
Well, that was in terms of in terms of because they won, but in terms
not only that, they play a lot better on defense too.
Yeah, that's very true. But in terms of us covering, so we cover a Sunday to Sunday, and that game was last Saturday, if I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But that was pretty good game. I don't know what happened between that and the game they played the next day. But that was pretty bad. But the game after that was the first one that we're covering this week with Carolina. And to your point, Dwayne, where the younger guys, needed a chance, that's been a theme all year. It was the Joe Snively show. He got a goal and an assist that game, and he helped keep the Caps in there. And the Caps fell behind in this game again, but. Mm-hmm. Both times the first 2 times that they did, they came right back and tied it up and made it competitive. And I just wonder why doesn't that show up more often? And I noticed that, I'm sure a lot more people noticed that when you got a guy like a Joe Snively or one of the younger guys that gets called up, you get more of that compete level because they're hungry for a spot. And, it's. I know.
I think you know what you're trying to say. You're trying to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. And it's, I get that. Okay, Backstrom and Wilson are the vets. Work them back in the lineup, fine. But, put them on the third line, give them less minutes, let them work their way back into actual game shape. And, let the rest of it work itself out. If there was great chemistry and, even with some of the injuries that were still lingering, and it just, I don't know, it just went all to crap. And I think a lot of this team's problems are the pieces on the chessboard just aren't in the right place at the right time. That's why you're seeing stuff like passes that are missing by 10 feet and, icing when there shouldn't be icing, and a whole lot of messed up plays that, just should not be, and there are, because there's no timing, there's no chemistry, there's no nothing anymore. There's no feel to this team, and I wish there was, but once in a while everything clicks, but it's too few and far between now. And I think if they could just come up with that more of the will to win, like we saw in the Boston game and this Carolina game, maybe they could steal a game here or two, make things a little bit more competitive. But this week was really hard to watch.
It was brutal.
Yeah,
real brutal.
I'm sure.
What's your thoughts on Laviolette? I mean, I'm curious.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you asked, because this is where great question, Dwayne. This is where we're going to get to the part where do the Caps go from here? Because the trade deadline, as I'm sure everybody knows, is about a week and a half away. March 3rd is when it is. 3 p.m. March 3rd is when the trade deadline is. And there's been a lot of talk of, okay, who's going to stay and who's going to go, and what's going to happen in the offseason. Well, the trade deadline's a nice preview of that. But I think more than, like I said, the chess pieces, I think it's where they get put and how it gets handled. And look, I made no secret of it last week. I don't think Laviolette's doing a pretty good job with what he's got. And I think that continued this week. I mean, a lot of the decisions he and the rest of the coaching staff made were not good. I don't like the fact that he's not given the younger guys a chance. That's been his trademark all season. And I think it's to their detriment. And, I will flat out say it again. He's got to go. He is not going to be back. There is no way he's going to be back after this year. Even if the miracle happens, they end up winning the cup or going far, there is no way he comes back. And he should not be back after this year.
What about you, Anna?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I think I got kind of wrapped up in his resume, I'll say.
I think we all did.
Yeah, and like really had high hopes for him coming in and like, directing this team and being a hard ass when you need to and whatnot. But it's like, I'm just not seeing, I don't know, I'm just not seeing the connect right there with him and the players. And that sucks, because I felt like when he came in, he really took on like hey, I'm going to be, personable, and I'm going to get to know these guys on that level. And I've been doing this for a while, like, let's go. I don't know if his heart is into it, which is really hard as an athlete. If your coach isn't into it, you're not going to be into it either. But I just don't feel the love I had for him before.
If that's the case, I think, here's what I think. What was the coach we had before that won the cup with us?
Trotz, but he left right after they won the cup, and they had his assistant or the associate coach. They ended up hiring him for 2 years. That was a huge mistake.
Yeah,
we won't talk about him, but yeah. So they went.
I was saying because Trotz is not coaching anymore, right?
No, he's not. He decided to take a year off.
I don't see why we couldn't get him back.
Well, it's not going to happen, and I'll tell you why. With the current general manager, Brian McClellan, and Trotz were both hired by upper management at the same time. The GM didn't hire the coach. The upper management, the president of the team or whatever it was, he hired them separately. Mm-hmm. So there's an element of, well, this guy's not my man. And if you believe the talk behind the scenes, they didn't always get along. Okay. And the year they won the cup, I'm pretty sure they were actually, management was thinking about getting rid of Trotz anyway. And
I did hear something like that before.
Yeah, and I think, it was kind of obvious. And I think Trotz had that in the back of his mind. And when he won the cup, and I think he was thinking, all right, I've got him. I'm not coming back unless I get the term that I want. and the Caps wouldn't play ball with him. And, you can argue whether or not that was the right call to make. Some would say yes, some would say no. But I mean, that's in the past, but I mean, the GM is still there. So point being, the guy that didn't want him there in the first place is still there. So unfortunately, while, Trotz may actually be the best guy to figure this out, there's no way, unless they change the management, there's no way Trotz is coming back.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he'd want to come back in any case, to be honest, unless they offer him a deal where he ends up retiring, as the coach, and he gets, buku money for it. I would love to see him back, but I just don't think it's going to happen. And
I say that because I feel like Anna feels that to me, even that there the 2 years or whatever the years he was there, I felt like the team was much more relaxed, and they were much more like she said, he seemed like he seemed like a player's coach, and I think that's what those guys got from him.
Yeah, and I've also heard that Trotz was also kind of iffy on playing the younger guys, but I think.
But he did play them a lot more. Though.
He did end up playing them. So, case in point, Jacob Vrana, he did get he did get some time, on the team. So he did figure out what was best. The best product to put on the ice in a given situation. So I think when you look at it, he was a lot better than Laviolette as far as figuring that out. And I mean, look, the times they had the camera on Laviolette on the game last night, he looked like, I don't know about you guys, but if you saw it, but he looked like he kind of didn't want to be there. He looked like he was confused. He looked like he was.
Well, and what he was wearing was stupid anyway. So that just I was like, what the hell are you wearing? And then I felt like, Rod, I can't stand Brindamore. Like, I appreciate his stats. There's just something about him. I'm just like, I can't stand him. But he at least played the role. Like, he showed up, he had that stupid Letterman jacket on, but he was out there having fun. And I feel like when you're doing a game like this, show some spark. Like, show it so your players get like that contagious vibe. But we're like, last night I was like, 1, you look stupid, and 2, you look annoyed that you're there. And then it was like 4-0, and you're just like, oh shit, what do I do now? It was embarrassing. And it was just like, oh man. So that's why I turned it off. I didn't watch it because I was like, there's no way we're going to rally, because our coach isn't going to rally behind the team.
Well, one time he did call a timeout, and then they started, and then I don't know what he said to him, but they had a little bit more pep and they stepped in than they did before. And they were more in attack mode, and they were doing well in the they were forechecking a lot better than they were before, but it didn't last that long. That was the only thing. I saw that. I was like, okay, now they're starting to pick it up a little bit, and they kept it down in the zone, but that daggone goal net seems like it's a daggone size of a mouse hole. Right. They can't get anything in there.
Well, it doesn't help, and this is why I also think the coaching has a lot more to do with it than some people might think. I noticed in the worst of the games this week, I noticed, and it was more than one player. Here's the offensive attack. Guy would get the puck, cross into the zone, and then stop or peel back, and then wait for a guy to pass to. He wouldn't go to the net. The one goal that was scored last night, how did it happen? Tom Wilson
went to the net.
Tom Wilson, bull in a china shop, charged towards the net. He was on an awkward angle. He's actually skating backwards for a part of the time, but managed to get the shot on goal, and it went in. That was the only time they did that in that game.
No, I saw another time, but it never got through to the guy. Dylan Strome went to the I think it was second period. He went straight to the right in front of the goal crease. It never got there. He would have. If it had gotten through, I think they would have scored then. But I like Dylan Strome.
They got it. Yeah, but what I'm saying is they got to do that more. Most of the time, what they were doing was just stopping, looking for a guy to pass to. I don't want to shoot. You take it. Oh no, I don't want to shoot either. You take it.
Commentators were saying that as well. They were saying they were doing a lot of puck watching.
Yeah,
that's what they were doing. They were doing puck watching even on offense.
Yeah, I agree.
And I was like,
which is embarrassing because you're like, come on.
Exactly, guys. You've been doing this all your life, so you know you got to go and create some. Because one of the commentators even said they need to get to the goal because they're doing it to you. So why don't you just do it to them?
Yeah.
Right. They weren't doing it. Then they got to be, if you want to take back the game, you got to do what's necessary to take back the game. They weren't doing it. They weren't forcing the play.
And being in the penalty box yesterday wasn't a good thing.
No, that didn't help.
Y'all just adding insult to injury.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Just a shaking my head moment when I was like, seriously, like a stupid penalty. Like
Which
if it
one?
was penalties are frustrating regardless, but like there are times when it's just, you're like,
and then we get a power play. How many power plays did we have? 2?
Yeah.
And we couldn't score on one of them.
They got 2 power plays, and if they got one shot, I think they were lucky on each power play.
Yeah, that was on the second one, and that was the one towards Oshie, and they stopped it, and then they hit it, and they cleared it. I was like,
and that's the other thing I don't understand. You have a man advantage. Why not stick somebody, get that guy's butt in front of the goalie's face so he can't see?
Yeah. Exactly.
But they don't do that either.
No.
Nope. They got to find somebody that's going to be able to put themselves in the middle of that. And you can't blame this on Oshie. I'm not Oshie. You can't blame this on Ovi either. I mean, they were like this when Ovi went, and when Ovi's dad, when he went away with his dad, they were like that with him there. So I don't want nobody saying it's because they don't have Ovi. I mean, no, it's not.
No,
six of them.
You're right. This was 100%. Going on long before that.
Yeah, it was happening when he was there. What are you talking about? So,
right. Well, and that's the problem is that, you have 3 forwards, you have 2 defensemen, you have a goalie. So to put it all on one player is wrong, but it happens in just about every sport, as we know, like quarterbacks and pitchers and whatever else. But in this situation, it's like, man, okay, so your number one guy, your captain is out, along with all the other injuries, but it shouldn't phase you on how much effort and, you should be playing 100% regardless or 110% because your captain is out due to a loss of a family member and you're going to play that much harder for him. But for some reason, it's just, there's just this disconnect and, Gil and I have been doing this podcast for so long now that I'm huge on chemistry. And if Gil and I didn't have it on the podcast, it would be difficult to hear. But on ice, if you don't have it as players, a chemistry in which you know what they're going to do, where they're like, you're always thinking what the next person, like not just, end my sentence. I know where you're going to hit, where you're going to shoot the puck next. Yeah. I'm going to be there because that's how much you guys are in sync. We're not even there. We are not even there. And I think that was when you brought up the point, Dwain, about Tommy and Backstrom coming back, it was like, I think we just assumed they were to come back and fill those roles like, oh yeah, I've got, everything's good, but they're going to come back to, different players or different lines. And different, like mentality, I guess maybe is what it is. And they just, were just not quite sure what to do. So I think there was a little too much assumption that them coming back was going to make everything better.
That comes back to also what you, to piggyback on what you're saying, I just thought about something too about what Gil said earlier, him playing the younger players. Well, now when those guys come back, they know they're not going to get a lot of playing time. So they know. So now you try. So what are you already telling your younger guys?
Yeah.
You're not, we're going to send you down to Hershey, or we're going to do this. We're going to put you on the IR or whatever until we're going to put you on the scratch list or whatever until we need you. That's stupid. These guys out there playing hard. They want to play hard too. So these are guys that can replace these guys when they decide to leave.
Right.
So don't kill their mojo.
No, because I think the hardest thing for me, and my heart would break if come next season, like Joe Snively goes somewhere else, because that's a kid we've called up who's been fantastic, who's local. I know that's besides the point, but there's the drive, there's the speed, there's the age, there's the, but that want to win. And I'm not saying, like Oshie and those guys don't want to, but it's like at some point after playing such an intense game like hockey for your whole life, your joints, your bone, everything hurts. And you're going to hit 30 something and it hurts that much more. So you kind of have to, ego aside, mentor these players and say, it's okay. You're bumped down a line or two.
Yeah.
Because this kid is going to be able to play more minutes, skate faster, and kick ass out there. But we have to have it consistently, and we just don't. And I think that's my frustration with Laviolette. So it's, it's like we don't have the lines down. We don't have the chemistry. There's no consistency. And then, my God, all the injuries.
Yeah, because he does change his lines almost every freaking 5 minutes. I'm like, good.
And it hasn't nothing good has come out of it. And all I want to see is just the same people on the same line. It just doesn't happen. And you're right. Both of you, there's no chemistry that comes out of it. How can there be? And I think that's one example of how he's mismanaged the team. So we're actually running a little long on time. So real quick, I wanted to make sure I got this in because I actually had in our all new Facebook chat room, the messenger room for the show, a bunch of people kind of chime in on how the team's doing. As I said, the trade deadline's coming up, and there's kind of been some discussion about who stays and who goes. Real quick from both of you, Dwain and Anna, if they make any move, if there was one move they have to make at the trade deadline, or no moves, if you don't think, what would it be? Who wants to go first?
I'll let Dwain go first.
No. Ladies first. Ladies first.
Oh my God. You know what? It's so hard. I want to see no changes, and I want to see the team have a chance to, just get together as a team. And like we've said before, locker room chat is one thing, but when players call out players, it means so much more. And so I would like to see what we have right now, vet and new players, younger players on a line together, cohesively skating fast, but most of all having fun, which is what we are lacking right now. Because when they have fun, we see the koozies score, we see, Oshie score, and it's like, that's what they need. And right now, I think they're trying too hard. I think that the talent is there. The skill is there. I don't necessarily want to see anybody leave the Capitals at this point, because I just think that they just need to have that moment of, all right, what the hell, guys? Like, what's going on? And let's change it up. And this is what it is. And we're going to give 110% moving forward. No more excuses.
I'm a little bit with you. I'm a little bit with you. I'm a little bit. I feel the same way you do. I'm like, a couple of things make me feel the way you do. Is that we are so close to being in the playoffs, and I would just like for us just to get there, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the group is there to do it with, like you said. It's just going to come down, like you said, to coaching, and I don't want them to do anything right now. You know what? You might as well say, you know what? This is what we need to do. If we make the playoff, we're gonna keep this team to see if we can make the playoff. We can't make the playoff after that, and we know what we're gonna have to do next year. When the season ends, we just gonna have to go another way with this team.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. I mean, you're there. You might as well get a chance to get in the playoff. At least get in the playoff, because you never know what's gonna happen in the playoff. You can make a big run.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, maybe, and surprise teams.
Right.
And if you don't, let's say you do get in the playoff, you get in the first round, wild card round. You got in there.
Yeah.
Then end of the year, okay, figure out who you're gonna let go and who you're gonna keep. I mean, you got you know Ovi's he's not going anywhere.
Right. Well, I think him and Nikki, I should say, or however you want to call them, Backstrom, they're gonna be there together and retire together.
Well, then you got Dylan Strome there too, who they just gave an extension to, which is nice because he deserved it.
Him and Milano,
Milano too. I forgot, and when I heard Milano last night, I was like, where the hell he been at? I didn't know he was gone. I mean, I didn't know he was gone. And he was in. Tell me if I'm wrong. When they went on that 10-game streak, wasn't he on that line? Wasn't he on that team? Somewhere on that team at the time?
Well, here's the problem with that. I ever since he got his extension, I don't know if you want to call this coincidence or not, his game's kind of fallen off.
Who, Dylan Strome?
No. Milano.
Milano.
Oh, I thought Dylan Strome was the one that got
last night.
I thought Dylan Strome was the one that got the extension.
They both got extensions.
They both did.
But Milano, I haven't heard that much. I don't think he's been out there that much. I haven't heard his name. I haven't heard his name that much.
I haven't either. You see him once in a while. He'll get one good chance per game, and then before that, though, when they were in December, when they were playing well, it was every other play where he was out there making stuff happen. Yeah, exactly. Not so much now. Well, anyway, my answer to that question is, if they're going to do anything, then I would say move some of the older forwards and defensemen. Matt Irwin should not be on this team anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know why Alex Alexiev is not given a start. Let him get some games in. Let him get some experience in. Luke Johansson too. So move maybe a couple of the older defensemen. But for sure, and it kills me to say it. I will admit it. But I don't hate him, but he does do stuff that infuriates me.
Who's that?
Lars Eller.
Yeah, number 20 has been a big chat in social media about it's his time.
Yeah. And you know, it's too obvious and too easy of an answer, but and yes, look, I'm not stupid. He got the cup winning goal, and as I like to say, if I owned a bar in the DMV, he would drink for free on me anytime he damn well pleases. But I mean, you gotta treat this as a what have you done for me lately type of business.
But it's also been 5 years.
Yeah, and he just hasn't done as much as he can. Now he's still one of our top face-off guys, but that doesn't feed the bulldog at the end of the day. That doesn't, fill the gas tank.
That can also I don't mean to interrupt you, but that can also be fixed by one of the younger players like Dylan Strome, and then you still got Backstrom. So
right. You already got two centers, and Kuzi isn't, when he's on his game, he's not bad at the face-off dot either.
No,
so
he's not.
You've already got quality centers. You just need that one that fills in those third line minutes. And I'm sorry, but Eller, it just isn't doing it. I mean, he's still got the heart to play, but I mean, he's lost more than a step, and I just think it's time. it's time that they moved on from it. It's been past time. So, I mean, if they don't move on from him at the deadline, when? They're probably going to wait till the offseason anyway. But I mean, if there's a sign, they want to give a sign to the fans and to the rest of the organization that, okay, we're serious about at least trying to make the playoffs, then they're going to do something like that. That is probably the least they can do. Now, there's a lot more they can do. I won't get into that.
If you move Barzell, you're moving for somebody that's going to really help the team.
Right, exactly. Or if you can get it, a decent draft pick. If you can't get a live body, get a decent draft pick because the cupboard's kind of bare on that as well.
Okay.
But yeah, get something of worth if it's not a live body. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to make a move, let it be something like that. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they make no move at the trade deadline. So it's going to be interesting how they figure this out. But I mean, it's also obvious they got to do something if they want to at least try to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting as to what exactly they do. So, all right, we're going to close out that portion of the show. Great, Dwain, you kind of steered things toward the right, what we all needed to talk about, wanted to talk about, but hadn't been talking about, and that I want to thank you for that. Awesome questions.
Thanks.
And before I say anything else,
that was more so Anna than me.
Well, I mean, but you asked the question about Laviolette, and I think that kind of opened a lot of doors as far as the conversation.
Yeah,
so I mean that's what we look for here on the podcast. Somebody that knows what they're talking about, and can ask the questions and make people think. And that's you've already done that. I mean, let me just say this: that Dwain, you are. I say this to a lot of people, but you are welcome to come on anytime you want. And talk Caps hockey with us. You definitely have an open door, but because we definitely want to hear more from you, because you
absolutely
you got a mind for the game and how things should be. So definitely want to thank you for that. But
I don't have a mind for it. My thing is I pick up on I can pick up on people's body language and stuff like that, and I'm like,
oh yeah.
And then, but my thing is I'm not. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what's going on in the background like you guys do. You guys know more on the background. And that's the stuff I picked up from you all. So I'm learning stuff that I didn't even know. I'm like, okay. Because like Anna said something about, about what's going on with Backstrom and not Backstrom, what's going on with some of the guys in the back. I'm going, oh, I didn't know that. And you said something about what's going on with the GMs and all that stuff. I didn't know all that stuff. So
right, but it all starts on the playing surface, and if you're good at picking, that's where it all starts. If you're seeing that, you could pick up on that. Some folks are a lot better at picking up on that than others, and some are good at looking at the management side. But we want input from all kinds of people. So if you can see that, I mean, look, I'll give you an example. They had a close up of the Stadium Series game of Marcus Johansson on the bench. And it was mostly his face. And what I saw was he looked worried. He looked scared. And he looked like, oh, my God, do I really got to be out there?
Exactly. I thought the same thing.
I saw it on a couple of guys' faces.
Yeah.
Tommy
So,
too.
Dwain, if you can pick up on something like that more easily than most, that's the kind of thing we're looking for. That's the kind of thing we need. That's why we want fans who've watched the games and pay attention to this stuff. We need you to come on, tell us about that, because not everybody sees that kind of thing. So again,
everybody wants to hear us every weekend.
Well, all right. That's a whole other. Okay, we're not the really moronic national blog, okay? But fine. But yeah, no, we're for the fans, and that's why we want fans of all experiences coming on saying, "Hey, look, this is where it's at. This is what I'm seeing," and that you start the discussion, and it makes people think. That's what we try to do here. So, Dwain, once again, I love having you on, and thank you so much for helping keep the discussion going. So, it being Black History Month, so for this part of it, what I want to know from you is, what has it been like? Have you found Or maybe it's not. Some in the African American community would be like, well, I mean, it's not that big a deal. But some would say, hey, look, racism exists. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to be stupid and say it doesn't exist. I'm not blind to it. I see it, and I've experienced it because I'm Asian American, partially. So I'm not going to be stupid and say it doesn't exist. It does exist. But for you personally, Dwain, when you try to enjoy a hockey game, what has it been like for you as far as that goes?
When I've gone to all the hockey games, even with Lorenzo or even with my son and everything, even when I went to Philly, I had all of them were great experiences. I didn't see any. I didn't think of. I'm just not that type of person. That's number one for me.
Mm-hmm.
I look as my wife always say. I always look through as the rose-colored covered glass. I always look at the glass half full. I say, I'm sorry. That's just the way I am. That's just the way I look at people. I give people a second chance or whatever. I try not. I mean, everybody judges somebody at some point in time. At the first time you see them, but then they're like, okay, that's not them. But I don't know. With me, for racism, I had very little when it came to racism. For me, I had very little exposure to racism, and the only time the first time it came to me was in college, and it wasn't even in college. I ran cross country and I did track and field and cross country. I ran a race, I ran international. We had nationals out at up in New York, and I was running crappy. And this guy comes by me, he calls me the N-word, and I'm like, "What did he just say?" So I'm not gonna lie to you. I caught out with him and I punched him in his chest and took off because I was mad. I was like, "Did he just say that?" And then and I was like, "This is crazy." And I'm not a violent type. And so that was my first time ever somebody blatantly out saying it to me. And I was like, holy crap. And it's so crazy because I was the only black guy on the cross country team. And I had told them what happened and they got pissed. They got so mad. They were like, where they staying at? My coach said something about, where they staying in that hotel? So my coach was about to go say something to their coach. I said, hold on, guys, hold on. I got this. I took care of it. I'm good. I'm good. We don't need to go through all that. But that's just, and if I've seen it, I haven't been, I've seen it, but I look at people going, really? Really? But I mean, overall, that's only the only time I've seen it. So as for racism in hockey, I know it's there. Don't get me wrong. I know it's there. In fact, I did a little bit when I started getting into this hockey thing. I saw a thing on, what was it? I can't remember what it was, but it was about how hockey got started. And I didn't realize hockey got started by black guys. I don't know if you all knew that.
Well, that's very true. It was in
Canada.
It was in Nova Scotia.
Yes.
A lot of black-owned churches in Nova Scotia formed their own league, the Colored Hockey League. And
those were the guys that came from down south to get away from slavery.
Yep,
and then and then moved up to Canada and all that stuff. I was like, get the hell out of town. I said, man, I ain't know about this.
Yeah.
So I was shocked about it too, but then I was like, these guys were good. But I guess the only thing that I'm thinking is, okay, hold on. How come it's only Willie O'Ree in this thing that I know about? That's the only thing. That's the only thing that bugs me. If there was a lot more black hockey guys playing up there in Canada, why weren't they put on teams in Canada to make it more transitional for blacks to be able to get into hockey? That's the part I don't understand.
Well, I
know you guys don't have the answer, but
it's well, actually, I mean, well, there's I don't want to. I'm not sure how to put this, but I think the easy answer is we like to think of our neighbors to the north as a lot easier to get along with, but it's not as if they don't have their problems.
Oh, I know they do too.
With race too. Yeah. And I think that the easy or obvious answer, depending on how you look at it, is they kind of thought that the game was only for white people.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to me, that's your answer. Now there's probably a lot more to it than that, but to me, that's the answer that sticks out. And yeah, there were a lot of good. The Colored Hockey League was a great organization. They did a lot of people don't know this, but they actually innovated the first night outdoor hockey game. I heard this on a podcast 7 years ago. That they went out in the snow and they knew that they were on top of a coal mine. So what they did was they dug into the ground deep enough and they hit a seam of coal and then they lit it. And that they did this all around the rink, and it was just enough to light up the rink so that they could see to play. And that was the first outdoor night game. And this was way back in the early 1900s, the late 1800s. So they invented night outdoor hockey.
Yeah, and they also were the ones to invent. They were the ones to invent goalies. Goalies would go down to the ground. Because back when it came to the United States, goalies weren't allowed to go to the ground. I remember that.
That I knew of. I didn't know it was that group, those teams that invented that. Look at that. You learn something new every day.
I was like, because when I was looking at this documentary, I was like, what? I was saying, and then I remember watching hockey when I was growing up. I'm going, that's right. They never did go down to the ground. The goalies always stood standing up the whole time. I'm like, I never understood that. But now they go back to they can do whatever they want in the goal. But I just never understood that.
Yeah, well, you're right though. I mean, it would, they like the National Hockey League likes to say, well, hockey's for everybody, and if they really meant that though, I think they would do a lot more to make it a lot easier for players that look like you, and me for that matter. Because not a whole lot of Asian Americans either, but who look like a Devontae Smith-Pelly, for example. Yeah, probably the best one I can think of. Did a lot for DC hockey in his short time here. But young children, this guy looks like me. If he can make it, maybe I can too. And there's got to be more examples like that.
When I saw the documentary on I saw it on Popeye Jones, and they were talking about him. Then they mentioned his son. He mentioned his son playing hockey. I was like, what? And that's when his son was playing for the Blue Jackets.
Seth Jones. Yep.
Seth Jones. I was like, what? Because he told his dad he wanted to play hockey. He said, okay. And his boy's like, was he about 6'7"?
Yep.
Seth Jones was about 6'7". They thought he was playing basketball because his dad played basketball. He said, no, my son wants to play hockey. He's playing hockey. So I couldn't believe that. And that's the first time before I heard about Smith-Pelly. I think I heard about Seth Jones and Smith-Pelly around the same time, I think, for me anyway. And the only reason why I heard about Willie O'Ree is because I was looking at the History Channel thing, and they was talking about hockey. And that's when I learned about the Negro Hockey League. And then I heard about Willie O'Ree, and I was like, what? How can they just get one person out of that? But anyway.
Well, just one last thing about Willie O'Ree. My favorite fact about him is that he played his whole career, whole pro career, with one good eye.
Yep.
Because he got hit in the puck when he was a junior level player. He got hit in the eye by an errant puck. And he was legally blind in that eye for the rest to today. He still is. And he had that handicap all through his career. So he did everything he did on the ice with one good eye. And
that's incredible in itself.
That blows me away every time I hear that. So I just got one last thing I want to go over with you, Dwain, about that aspect. I kind of hate that I got to bring it up this way because, of course, I'm not stupid. I'm also a history major, so I keep my ear to the ground as far as the political climate, and it's gotten so volatile. But I have to ask you, Are you of the mindset that we shouldn't have to celebrate Black History Month? That the general public should celebrate the accomplishments of a Seth Jones or a Devontae Smith-Pelly or a Jerome McGinley and guys like that as just simply great players, not they're Black players and they're also great players. How do you feel about that?
I don't think it's a bad thing celebrating the whole Black History Month thing, period. I think it's fine. Because if you do it that way, you're incorporating everybody.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. You're incorporating, it's not just Seth Jones and all those guys. It's people in basketball. It's people in gymnastics. It's people in whatever sport you want to do. That's where they got. And that's Black History is about everything. It's not just about sports. It's about everything that's going on in the United States. I don't see no problem with it.
I think that's a great answer. I think that's a wonderful answer. I think it is. Look, I think it is necessary. I love history. Again, I was a history major in college. I love all aspects of history, and I took a course on what the freed slaves went through right after emancipation and how they got organized for Reconstruction and how they lived and other similar courses. It opened my eyes, and I think the more we learn, I don't think too many people treat history like it's the enemy. It's a lot like digging for buried treasure. The more you keep digging, the greater stuff, bits of information you will find if you just keep on looking. Now you might find a few bad things here and there, but you're also going to find a lot of good things.
But that's par for the course, then. I mean, that's going to be everywhere. Everything can be bad or good. I mean, there may be a happy medium in there somewhere, but everything got bad and good. So what are you going to do about it? You just take that bad stuff and try to turn it into something good.
Right.
But I found myself to being more into history, but I was a physical education teacher, and I taught for 36 years. And I just retired in 2021, and I was at the same school the whole time. And my school population was Hispanics. Well, I wouldn't say that. My school population was 850 kids. Of that 850 kids, I would say 375 were Hispanic, and the rest was white. And then it was only like 10% blacks. No, not even 10. It was like 2 to 5% blacks. That's about it. And that's how my kid was, because I'm on the Eastern Shore. But the way I looked at it was, I looked at my kids will tell you right now that I never saw one different than the other. I always try to treat my kids the same way. I never looked at, the black kids as, I never treated them like, this is, I'm all just for you. No, I'm going to tell you how I feel, and you're going to have to learn how to live with this, because this is what life is all about. And that's the way I try to teach my kids when I was there. So
you sound like one hell of a teacher, and you and Anna got something in common.
Oh, Anna, you're a teacher. She's still there?
I am. I know. I actually am about to head out in 1 second. I didn't want to cut you guys off.
No, go ahead.
I absolutely love everything about this. But yes, I have been a special education teacher for about 15 years.
Girl, you got my heart.
Thank you.
All right.
Well,
a lot of patience.
yeah, definitely. And I'm actually an ex-teacher myself, so okay. mad respect for the both of you. Now, so since Anna has to go, we're just going to go ahead. We could go on. I think the three of us about the Caps and a lot of other things, but we're actually going to drop it right here. So, Dwain, Mr. Thomas, thank you so much once again for coming on, and you have an open door. We record every Sundays. You want to come on and talk about the Caps? You have an open door, my friend. Just let me know. You know where to reach me. So you want to come on anytime, my friend, you are more than welcome, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are very welcome.
I appreciate you too for doing what you do.
Thanks.
Awesome. You're one of the many reasons why, because we try to make the Caps fan the star, and you did it all on your own. So.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I don't know about all that, Gil, but but thank you.
All right. So for Mr. Dwain Thomas and the Mermaid Anna Knox, I
don't even want to know why you got that nickname, but that's okay.
Just because I love the ocean. I'm a Pisces. I'll keep it generic.
She's kind of close to us. I'm Aquarius.
Yeah, you're close.
You're close.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so we're real quick before I forget. Next 3 games coming up. Detroit, Detroit on the 21st, 7:00 puck drop at home. Anaheim Ducks on the 23rd, 7:00 puck drop, also at home. And then I believe they go on the road to bad time to lose. Oh, okay, no. Last of the 3-game homestand against the Rangers on Saturday, 1 p.m. start, and then Buffalo on Sunday. For that game. C4 is actually going to be at that game, so hopefully she'll have some pictures. So hopefully Caps get some much-needed points after that. I'm not giving up, but it ain't looking good, so this week is probably going to be make or break. So cheer on our Caps, and anybody else out there, you want to come on the show, you're more than welcome. So again, for Mr. Thomas, pardon me, losing my voice, and the Mermaid Anna Knox, this is the Blue Liner on Point, signing off and reminding you that I knew 2 guys, and they were sitting on a bridge. One was named Big Moron. The other's named Little Moron. Mr. Big Moron fell off, but the other didn't because, well, he was a little more on.
Yeah. Gil, keep that one to yourself.
Thank you. Dwayne, you can come on anytime because those jokes are ridiculous.
Well, so Anna, you can been putting up with this for that long?
At least 6 years. And he has yet to get a laugh out of me. It's like his goal.
I'll be back next week, Anna.
There you go. There you go.
I'll be back up next week, Anna.
Yeah, it's cringeworthy.
Hallelujah, and let's go Caps.
Let's go
Caps.
This has been another episode of the Power Play Point Podcast. All episodes are available from Apple Podcasts, the Podbean app, blueliner77.podbean.com, and now available from Stitcher. Music by Joe McAllister, voiceover by Jeffrey Conkle.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Power Play Point Podcast. Thanks for listening.